here we are working on this tiller. This is a Craftsman Dual Rotating Tines Tiller. It's powered by a 9 foot-pound gross torque LCT engine. That's also known as Tecumseh's. It was brought in because it don't start. We checked to see if it had gas in it. Of course it does. We're pretty sure it's not fuel because after pulling on it for a while we can smell gas. So let's go ahead and do a simple ignition test real quick. We pulled the spark plug out to make it easier to pull. Okay, let's give it a tug and see what happens. Nothing. Okay, well, we're over here on the side now. The kill switch is in the on position. But just for giggles, let's unhook the kill switch altogether and see what it does now. Still got nothing. Okay, so obviously we have no ignition. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do now is take the gas tank off, take the shroud off so I can get to the coil. What in the world is that? No wonder this thing had a Mousefire. Let's go take this thing out and blow this off with the pressure washer. This is nasty. Don't tell me I gotta pull the carburetor off to get the coil wire through there. It looks like I do. That's crazy. Okay. Just, there we go. Yeah, that ain't too bad. Well, we finally done it. We're in montage mode now. Shortly after pressure washing this thing, we had 2 work calls come in. Here we are installing the new ignition coil. We ended up soldering and heat shrinking the wire to the CDI unit because we're so used to working on Briggs and Kohler that we didn't know it had a CDI unit. So we didn't order that. But anyway, it's held on with these 2 bolts. We're going to go ahead and snug these things up with the coil all the way out. Then we'll come in with a feeler gauge and set the air gap. Now, unlike a Kohler, our feeler gauge wasn't quite long enough to reach both poles of this coil, so we set one pole at a time. Then we'll go ahead and gap out the top gap, moving the magnet to its highest point. And we'll snug that down. Then we go back and double check our gaps to make sure nothing's changed since the pivoting, which it hasn't. Awesome. Now let's slide the carburetor back on, and now we go ahead and install the new coil wire in its assigned place behind the carburetor. We want to do this carefully to make sure we don't jam up the governor linkage. Now we go ahead and put the air cleaner base back on and tighten it up. Now we go ahead and route the wire to the CDI unit in its approved channel cast on top of the block. Then we follow that up by remounting the CDI unit and tightening that down. Now we're going to go ahead and set the gas tank on. We'll get all the bolts back in and then hook up the fuel line. These two bolts aren't too bad to get to. This front bar is kind of in the way, but we managed to do it. We went ahead and did the back bolt off camera. You have to use a really long extension coming in from the side, and you finagle the tank a little bit. It's not too bad, but it doesn't really show up on camera really well. Next, we reinstall the fuel line here. Next, we follow up with our lineman pliers to squeeze the clamp and put it back on the carburetor. The next time you see us, we'll be doing an ignition test to see if we got it fixed. Stay tuned. Well, let's go ahead and see if we got ignition. Heck yeah, let's put a spark plug in it and give it a shot. Oh hell, I hit the choke. I'm like, why is it dying? I'm like, why is it dying? Well, now that this thing's running good, let's get the air filter back on it and wrap this video up. Well, we went ahead and got the oil changed on this thing last night. We ran out of Tractor Supply, got him a new filter because this one is junk. Alright, well, let's go ahead and throw this puppy in there. We go ahead and put a couple pumps of grease in here. and call this baby good. Well, Abby, we're down here at my neighbor's barn and field. We apparently forgot to shoot an outro for the tiller video, so we're here almost 2 months later. Looks like my neighbor left the fuel valve on, so hopefully the carburetor's not gummed up. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and give this thing a go. Let's see. Heck yeah! What do you think, Abby? Hell, it even idles. That's awesome. What do you think, Abby? The thing even still idles. That's awesome. Feel free to like the video if you enjoy the content. Share the video with any of your friends that might have one of these tillers and engines. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And we'll see you on the next episode of Abby Normal Garage.